All right, live here. Kyle Hunter. I'm going to talk some betting markets here. Look at the MLB slate here for October 2nd. If you have any questions, do jump in the chat. Let me know. I'm going to try to go over a few games. Just got off the Bet US college football show with Parker and Gary. A lot of fun every single week. If you're not subscribed already to the college football show, definitely suggest you do that. All right, let's talk a little bit here about the baseball games for today. I know the Astros game is starting right now, so thoughts on this game don't really mean much because just got done with the other show and this one's already starting up, so won't cover that one. I do want to look here briefly though at I'm going to try to share my screen here. I'm going to share screen and look at Kansas City Royals, Baltimore Orioles. Minus 150 or so, or minus 145 are the Orioles against Lugo. Eflin pitching here for the Orioles. My take here on this one is I think that they may be slightly overpriced. Baltimore in a must-win spot. I think the must-win is talked about too much. I think they should be favored. I don't know that they should be favored by quite this much because this is a spot where everybody talks about it. Everybody says, oh, this is, they must win. They can't lose a game like this. That doesn't mean they will win necessarily. And Lugo has been pretty good. Now, if you look at just the stats versus each other, Lugo has pitched very poorly against the Orioles. Looking here at Baseball Savant, I think this is a good tool to use, especially if you're doing like DFS or props or something like that. This is a team that's done pretty well against Lugo. Now, you have to realize the sample size is 33 plate appearances, so not really a big sample size. Wouldn't put a ton of stock into that, but it's still interesting to look at. Eflin, guys like Hunter Renfroe, which is interesting. Bobby Witt, not shocking, has done well here against Eflin. And, we'll see what kind of props numbers are out there. I haven't looked at this yet. I am going to look at this here later this afternoon, but here's the guys who have had success. I do suggest looking at the player matchups there on Baseball Savant. In my opinion, the Royals were so bad offensively at the end of the season, the regular season, that the market got pretty low on them. I think that the Orioles are the better team, but minus 150 is pretty pricey. 7.5 the total. To me, that 7.5 is pretty fair. The umpire in that game is quite neutral. So really nothing that would jump off the page there in that one. So let's look at Mets and Brewers next. Montas pitching at home here against Manaea. Montas laying about minus 115. The Brewers against the Mets. I do like something in this one. This is something I took small personally myself. I bet over 7.5 here in this one. Manaea has really poor numbers against the Brewers. It's not a huge sample size, certainly 51 plate appearances. But, Manaea is not a guy I trust a ton in this kind of spot. Sanchez, Rhys Hoskins with 2 home runs and 6 at-bats. So, if you're betting props, that's probably something to look at. As far as the other side, Montas, 347, WOBA allowed, weighted on base average, allowed. Lindor 4 for 12 with 2 doubles. Lindor's been hot of late. The Mets offense has been really good lately. They've been clutch here at the end of the season. So to me, over is the way I'm going on this one. I think over 7.5 minus 114 is a fair price. Montas and Manaea both have blow up potential. Either of these guys could give up a big inning. It wouldn't be a shock. The Mets offense is looking good here of late. We have an umpire that's neutral, not going to be anything really to an over-under based on my umpire database. Manaea has given up that 440 WOBA, 347 WOBA on this side. So both guys have really given up a lot to the other team. I think over is the right side here in this one. Obviously, it could finish 1-0, 2-1 or something, but long term, I think this is the kind of spot that you want to look at. I do have a premium play up for baseball for tonight. It is in the Braves and Padres game. 74-30 so far this year in MLB. Fantastic year. Super thrilled about how it's gone. I will not always go 74-30. I'm 20-4 in the last 24. That can't continue long term, but long term baseball has been a very good sport for me. So do have that one up for tonight. I think Musgrove has been a little bit underrated as far as how well he's pitched at the end of the season. I mean, you look at how he's pitched since he's come back. I'm going to pull up Fangraphs here real quick, just so we can look at Musgrove, how he's been pitching here at the end of the season. Look at the game log here. He came back on August 12th. Just kind of give you a look at how I try to look at these things when I'm betting baseball. I know some people like to see the process, not just a pick, which I think is fun for sure. 2.15 ERA, 8 walks and 9 starts. Fantastic command. 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. You got to love it. 8-57 ratio there for Musgrove. He's pitched really well here of late. Fried, definitely clutch as well at the end of the season. He's pitched better here. The Braves, I feel like they have to be kind of worn out based on how much baseball they've played of late. I'm a little bit surprised that San Diego is not laying more than -112, -114 here in this one. So that's just kind of my look into that one. Like I said, I do have a premium play up for the total in that game. Will saying he's got Braves +110. Well, hey, you're beating the market. At least you'll have some CLV. I don't know. I mean, Braves have to win, obviously. The Braves so injured. I didn't bet this one, so I'll root for you, Will. But I don't know that I would bet the Braves here. And now you're getting +100, +102. I just don't think it's quite enough. We'll see what happens there in that one. But let's look at some college football as well. So I'm going to take a minute here to pull up some stats, look at the lines here briefly. This was just kind of impromptu, so nothing like, I don't have a bunch of notes for this or something like I usually do for the BetUS show or other shows that I'm part of. Just kind of doing this off the fly, which is fine. I think that's fun too. All right, so let's look at a few numbers here. Looking at the live odds screen here. All right, Texas State and Troy. Texas State laying 13.5, total of 57. Troy's quarterback got hurt in the last game, Goose Crowder. The backup did not look good at all. Texas State lost to Sam Houston. Texas State side, I would want to bet here. I don't know high on Troy at all. I just think that 13.5, it was 14. It's come down a little bit. Texas State or nothing for me, but it's going to end up being nothing for me. Sam Houston State against UTEP. Sam Houston -10. This was 10.5. It's interesting to see this one kind of coming back down with a Sam Houston win over Texas State last week. So the market is taking UTEP. It's probably a UTEP situational spot. I'm just higher on Sam Houston than the market in general. Took over for season win total. Definitely feel good about that one. Not all of them. I took BYU season win total under. Bad play by me. Always transparent about everything I take, obviously. Sam Houston -10, 50. UTEP switched quarterbacks to Cade McConnell, their old quarterback from the Austin Peay guy. I think McConnell's probably a little bit better. My fair value here on total is a little higher than 50, so I'm going to lean to an over. Then Thursday night, Tampa Bay and Atlanta. And this is a fascinating game. I don't know that I'm going to bet this game. This is not one I've dug into too much here. Just looking at some of the trends. Thursday home teams have done pretty well, 94-77 against the spread. That hasn't been quite as strong here lately as it was for a while. But in this one, I mean, Tampa Bay has been inconsistent. I think Tampa Bay's very best is pretty good. Tampa Bay has not always played like that. Do I trust Kirk Cousins? Not a ton. I like Kirk Cousins. I don't know that I trust him that much. I don't really trust Baker Mayfield that much either, though. He's been inconsistent. I think he's in a good good situation. The coaching staff's done a good job. Will Bucks Falcons, no idea. Under, yeah. For now, I don't really know either. I don't want to give anything out here that I wouldn't bet without looking into it more. To be 100% transparent, I've looked a lot more at college football so far this week than I have NFL. NFL I'm going to be digging into here later today. So I'm going to pass on this one. 44 looks about fair to me on this one. All right. Let's touch on Jacksonville, Kennesaw. I should have taken Jacksonville State minus 13 or 13.5 earlier in the week. Huff has been much better. Kennesaw State, I mean, they couldn't do anything against UT Martin. I think Jacksonville State's probably the right side here, but now 16 or 16.5. I'll probably end up passing. Houston, TCU. Don't know what to do with this game. I'm going to be honest. This one, the market has moved around 17 down to 15.5, back up to 16.5. Pass. Easy pass for me. Michigan State and Oregon. Is Oregon looking ahead to the matchup against Ohio State next week? I know Gary Seegers took Michigan State plus the points on the BetUS show. Certainly respect Gary. He knows his college football really well. I'll be rooting for Michigan State to cover. Don't know that I have too much in that one either. Syracuse, UNLV. Kind of like the over in this one. 58 is available a couple places. 58, a relatively important number. This, to me, was a UNLV bet when it was at 3 or 4, and now it's at 6.5, and it's probably gotten a little bit too far. So I'm going to stay off of that one. All right, Jason, Navy and Air Force. Navy's offense is telling me over. Yes. Man, Jason, this is such a hard one for me because I have made so much money betting these Service Academy unders through the years, but I think this is an over too. Looking at the weather here, 68 degrees, 73, 11 miles per hour. It probably doesn't matter too much whether it's windy here because both teams are going to run consistently. Air Force's defense is bad. I mean, if you give up 31 points to Wyoming, your defense is bad. Air Force is not nearly what they've been in the past. And 35.5, now 36. It's interesting because this one was 36, got back down to 34, 35, or 34.5, and then has gone back up. I agree with you, Jason. I'm going to lean to the over here. I might even bet this one. I have to hold my nose when I bet that one because I hate taking Service Academy overs, but I think Navy's going to score quite a few points here. So maybe a Navy team total over. I'm going to look and see what that one is. I don't know offhand, but that might be the bet I make here, I believe. So let's see. I'm just looking at the timeline here a bit. Will says, go Navy. Yeah, I think Navy was the right side if you got a good number early on. I don't know about laying all the points now. Georgia and Ole Miss both make statements. Yeah, neither of those are bets that I'm going to make. I did take Ole Miss and South Carolina under for the BetUS show. I like the under in that one. I think both teams will run a decent amount there in that game. Let's just cover a couple other games that I wanted to speak on the market for about briefly. So UCF Florida interests me quite a bit. We just talked about this one on the BetUS college football show. I think this is fascinating that you've had this one started at pick at Circa, and it went up to 3, now down to 2.5 for UCF. People are kind of just falling over themselves to bet on UCF here, which is interesting to me because UCF looked like crap last week. I think UCF is a pretty good team. I think this is more people wanting to fade Florida than it is people wanting to back UCF. This game is one I'm going to not bet aside. No matter what, I'm not taking a side here. I do lean over 61.5. I believe I had this one at 63 or 63.5. I think tempo is there for this one to be an over. Skeety Bob, I used Sports Insights a decade or so, but then it wouldn't work with Apple. Has that changed? If not, it's still a strong site if you can get around. I like Sports Insights primarily because I like the Bet Labs. I like being able to look up queries and trends easily and quickly. You can see where I've saved a lot of these in here. I'm not going to look at a bunch of these, one by one or anything, but you can see I've saved quite a few of these in here. I think those are helpful. Let's look at one, for example, small underdogs with low totals. Good angle here. I like this one a good amount. Once this opens up here, I will share this tab. All right, small underdogs with low totals, 669, 523, a dog of between 3 and 14, total of 48 or lower. Good angle. This is a good angle. This is a ROI of 8.8%, just blindly betting this. You can see how it's done over time. Several teams meet that this week. I'm not going to show all these, but visitors of between 3 and 14 with a low total. Something to keep in mind there. I'm going to switch back here. I do think it's a good site. I think it's pretty helpful. Bet Labs, I like running, looking at the different coaches, ATS angles, things like that. So hold on. I definitely want to say one more here. I don't have too much time to go over too many more, but yeah, Gators on the verge. I agree. That's if they don't show up here, man, like this is after a bye week, they have to show up here. There's just it feels like there's no hope for them. All right, I want to look at Miami Cal briefly. This is one we just talked about on the BetUS show. Justin Wilcox has been fantastic in the underdog role. I think it's fascinating that game days at this one. It speaks to the fact there's not that many big games this weekend, but at the same time, I think this is a game that is intriguing in that I'm going to share this tab here. Justin Wilcox is a dog of 7 or more, 22 and 9, 71%, and 36.8% ROI. Also, super important to look at the margin, average ATS margin. He's been covering these by a lot. You can see the games as we go back here. They've won quite a few of these games outright. So is it going to surprise me if they went outright? It will not surprise me at all. If you look at stats and what they've done so far this year, Miami looks like it's right play. Now, Cristobal is bad as a favorite. Let's see, what was my number on Cristobal? Favorite of 7 points or more, 20 and 31 against the spread. So Cal money line, not the worst bet I've ever seen, but Cal could lose by 30 points as well. So, you're taking a risk. A lot of variance in a game like that. But if you're betting a money line that's like plus 330, variance is a good thing. So that's the way I'd look at that one. All right. So we've gone almost 20 minutes here. I think I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to try to do more of these, especially if we can get some decent viewership of these. I'm going to try to do more of the betting insights, market discussion. I love looking at the marketplace, trying to see what the market's telling us. And I'm 21 and 9 to start my college football season. I'm supposed to do some sales pitch, right? The tout pitch. I really suck at those. I don't really like being a salesman, but I've had a good start to the year. Who knows how this weekend will go? I have a smaller card this weekend than I've had for a lot of the other, but love talking college football, love talking MLB, love talking about betting on sports in general. So we'll do this some more often. I'll have some guests on here as well. But I definitely appreciate you guys who are tuned in here. Shout out to those of you who have tuned in either live or going to listen after the fact. Hit subscribe to the YouTube channel. I would appreciate that for sure. Going to try to bump those up. The more those numbers go up, the more I'll do these live streams for sure. So, all right, everybody have a great day. Enjoy the baseball. Enjoy the football coming up this weekend. Give me a follow at Kyle Hunter Picks if you haven't already. I'll be posting more with some insights for college football and NFL for the week ahead. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good week.